Okay, hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and if you're watching this video, that means you know what I'm league starting based off of the roulette wheel, and that is Berserker Flicker Strike. Oh boy. So, Flicker Strike gained popularity on Berserker for the main reason is when they reworked Berserker, they added this Ancestral Fury node that um, kind of does what Warrior's Legacy does, but better for strike skills, which is echo striking or targeting the previous location. And yeah, so it's from what I've been told, it basically doubles your single target on flicker, and then helps a lot with clear and gap clearing for reach and that sort of stuff. So it makes it much more viable. They've also changed a couple of things that makes it just better in general, but this is like a big deal for making it okay. This is a version of a person week 1 in trade who's doing a standardized two-hand kind of flicker. Now, a lot of this stuff is actually quite accessible in solo self-found. Starforge, not so much. You're not going to see that, but Starforge is just any large two-hand. That doesn't matter. So to get large two-hands in general, you got a couple options. Like you can either do just contempt essences, you could hard craft it yourself, you could recom, or you can get them from Grand Heist ring. So you're looking for swords, but just making any large-ish two-hand fizz sword not at all challenging, so that's like not a concern. For the basic stuff, Tanuahis are great, but they're using from plus power frenzy charge, so every time you see a Tanuahi valing it until frenzy, very obvious there. Magnate's just a good belt, and Bronzeliths people are typically used because you get the increased damage with movement skills, and the +5 socketed movement gems do work for flicker. It is a movement skill, so it getting the benefit of all that makes it just that much nicer. Karn chart is, again, blanket good. So, like, there's just using a lot of basic stuff, and then the framework for what people typically pick being Rite of Ruin from Crave the Slaughter, and then Aspect of Carnage into Ancestral Fury seems to be the pretty much standard, although I've seen some people go up here to get Gore Dancer for Instant Leech instead of this, and then they'll pick up Defy Pain for the Baby Defiance of Destiny. Some people do that as well. The only things that seems to never change is the Ancestral Fury. Everything else kind of seems to be up in the air, I guess, except the Warcry thing. But you're doing some combination of the other parts and then Ancestral Fury. And there is a version like this version, which is the real version, I call the real version of Flicker, which is if you actually have currency and you spend it on Shield Flicker, which you will do eventually for a Frenzy Charge Shield, a Frenzy Charge Ring, total Frenzy Charge stacking, and then you go Ice Bite on a Shakeout. That's like the dream. In all of my solo self-founding for the past 6 years of all for one, I've never been able to even cobble this together in its entirety. So I don't expect to be getting a Frenzy Charge Ring, a Frenzy Charge Shield in League. It's a lot to go through. But that would be fun. Sure, Pipe Dream, Engage. Either way, we're looking to be more towards the standardized version of Flicker Strike, which is going to be two-hand sword, Bronzelith. Anything else we can get, like, a Carnage Heart, like a Dark Ray Vectors for Frenzy Charges, that's all fine and well, then just rares. And that's going to be fine. So, the framework of the tree is nothing special. Two-hand, Fizz, Frenzy Charges, Life, your very vanilla build. We're going to be picking up Iron Reflexes and Wavering RT because we don't want to be crit, or don't want to be stunned, we don't want to miss, and we're going to go RT so we don't have to deal with accuracy. And the big part of you picking the sword stuff is because early on especially, we're going to have a hard-ish time maintaining Frenzy Charges. You get 25% from Flicker Strike. If you're going to go Poacher's Mark on hit, which some people do, this guy is doing it, I'll probably be doing this, you do get your mana and life on hit, which is nice, the physical damage reduction, but the big thing is they get a 5% chance, which stacks with the 25 of getting frenzies on hit. So right there, you're talking 30% chance of frenzy on hit. There is a Sword Mastery, which this guy does not grab, for example, that gives you 10 or 8% chance to frenzy on hitting a rare unique. And there's also a Mark Mastery, which you can grab, which does something similar. So stacking some comfortable amount of these things, plus running Blood Rage, gives you your Frenzy Charge generation. And through all that, you should be okay to keep flickering. So then it's a matter of sustain. Well, we established Poacher's Mark takes care of your mana on hit. Outside of that, you're going to maybe pick up some small mana nodes, some small life nodes, to just make it so you're a little bit more efficient point-wise. But yeah, it doesn't have too much of a mana cost, so it's like not a crazy concern. And then your rares are just going to be super vanilla, but you're going to be running the non-channeling to reduce the mana cost. You know, you can get mana cost reduction from Eater Exarch on Helmet, and then just like additional strike on Glove, which is a standardized thing we do. Some people go Impale, some people don't go Impale, some people go Crit. We're going to go RT because, you know, we're just starting off. And we'll probably do a lot of stuff similar to this. So 2-hand RT Impale, Poachers I like a lot. Casting damage taken. It also depends on if you like start doing Ritual and we end up getting a good Spectre. We'll run a Spectre. There's a Spectre that gives us Charge Generation and Culling Strike and Onslaught. We might be introducing an Animate Guardian if we get the gear for that, because that sort of stuff is super powerful right now. But yeah, leveling wise, I'm gonna level with Flicker, obviously, once I can do it, which I think is a little bit highish level, but we're gonna be rushing our Frenzy nodes and then rushing our Strike and Splash nodes. Once you have those, you're pretty much good to technically go, because you should be okay. Like with a Poacher setup and what's it called, Blood Rage, you should be pretty much a-okay to start flickering. One thing I will be grabbing that these guys aren't running early on is I'm most likely going to be dropping Molten Shell and cast some damage taken, and I'm going to be running Blood Rage in an automation setup because I do not want to have to click this every zone. I personally refuse to do this. I do not want to be clicking this every zone because it really fucking annoys me. I don't like that, so no. I'm not going to be doing that. And I'm probably going to be running, instead of Pride with Arctic Armor and Herald of Purity, I'm going to run Pride plus, you could either do Determination or I'm going to do Purity of Elements I like early on. So Pride plus Purity of Elements, and that'll be my offensive and my defensive aura, and having my res aggressively capped and being ailment immune. So I'm going to cobble this together real quick and, you know, PoE, what is this called? PoE Planner. The tree version's going to be identical. And then we're going to make a basic version and just start adding a couple of the basic things in. One option that I really wouldn't plan around is if you get the Ceaseless Feast gloves, which are stupidly rare off the minor boss, the Fat Man from Eater. He has a chance to drop these. They're not good, but if you do get them, they give you a really high chance to get a frenzy on hitting an enemy with no evasion. So I think this just means you. So if you get Iron Reflexes, that just takes care of that, and you get frenzy on hit. The corrosion's for armor shred, but like, yeah, kind of a weird little thing, but not terrible. Okay, so I've kind of cobbled together something pretty basic from what I've understood here with Flicker Strike Berserker. I made it only level 88, just so I have, you know, room to breathe with sockets and whatnot. But yeah, it's just grabbed a lot of the basic framework for the tree. I'm picking up Life, Rage, Impale, two-hand stuff, sword stuff, some Fortify, some strike stuff. Nothing too fancy. I would say some keynote interactions of masteries would be the fact you can grab the mastery for life if your body has none, because this build uses a bronze lith, but doesn't have a life roll, so ipso facto, yeah, you get that free 15%. Another kind of important one is, where is it, the strike one, so non-val skill, strike additional target. This is obviously big for Flicker. Also gives us Tribal Fury for Splash. The Fortified little small cluster Steadfast does give us our Fortify on hit, melee hits Fortify. We're doing a triple keystone setup here, Iron Reflexes plus Unwavering Stance, a very common combo. So all of our evasion becomes armor for mitigation. And then, you know, Resolute Techniques we don't miss, but it's fine because we're doing our damage from Rage Generation and Pale. That's kind of a way of scaling up our damage, so that'll be a nice little chunk there. Then picking up the Sword Mastery, which is, you know, keeping us in swords, but it gives us a frenzy on hit for uniques to help our Flicker sustain. Everything else is just pretty good and standard masteries you would use. One little leech node here. We do have some leech from Blood Rage, and we're not going to be picking up the instant leech, so we're just going to pick up this Lust for Carnage node. That'll take care of that. And I do like to have the little bit of mana leech over here, which we have instant. 5% of leech is instant. It doesn't just apply to life, it also applies to the mana from this leech, just leech. So that helps out with our mana, or, you know, initially it might be a little bit wonky, so that's going to be nice. Then for skill setups, I might wiggle, but I'm pretty sure we're sticking with this, which is Determination, Purity of Elements as our two main auras. And then our third quasi aura is Battle Mage Cry. This is just going to automate Hydrosphere. That's basically all it does. It auto-exerts Battle Mage Cry, which then does Hydrospheres, which helps us a little bit with hits on single target stuff. If this becomes strenuous mana-wise, we can just drop the auto-exertion Battle Mage Cry step, and you could put it onto an Arcanist brand. So just for context, if I, were to uncheck this, I would have 15% mana open, a much larger amount, so we'll see how that feels. I'm just trying to be lazy with it, which is why I also have in my what would be my 5-link weapon setup, Poacher's Mark, auto marking plus Leap Slam. There's room to throw in a momentum here if I wanted to. And then the automation setup is doing my Molten Shell and Blood Rage, because I don't want to be clicking anything but Flicker Strike. This 6-link is pretty standard. If you don't go Impale, you typically go Fort, and then you change the Mastery. And if you go Crit, it's totally different. But for the non-crit or non-cold Ice Bite version, this is pretty standard from what I've seen. And then, yeah, I also have an option, which we don't know yet, and that is swapping out. And I think it's really enticing because I really like, I would say, these two nodes, but I might grab some of the new ascendancies if I feel like it. And if I do that, I'm probably going to drop the rage stuff, drop most of the rage on tree, pick up the Defiance of either Defy Pain, or I'm going to pick up the Instant Leech, and I might change my passives a little bit, but then I might do one of those new things. But so far, none of the new things, they didn't show any of them really, and they're not really speaking to me, so we're going to wait to see what's the dealio with that. But this is like the basic idea, I think, of what I'm going to be doing for Flicker. And if leveling becomes totally unbearable, I could just use any strike skill. But it should honestly be fine. I'll probably just use like Molten Strike or Smite until I have, like, at the very least, I need to get Poacher's Mark is going to be a little bit. That's 38. I really can't start flickering until I have, like, at least Disciple this. Like, I need some amount of Frenzy setup, so I might have to, level with something else, potentially, but I'll try my best to just use a generic strike skill, or just use something until then, because I want to be picking up Tribal Fury immediately, and then I'm going to rush to RT and grab the sword nodes with a charge generation along the way, so I can at least start flickering, as soon as possible. I'd like to be flickering at the very latest, I would say level 40 after normal lab, and then I get my mark on hit setup, and that should be a pretty comfy spot. So if we could do that, we'll be happy. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, a lot of the uniques here, these 4 core or 5 uniques here are really accessible, low tier, shouldn't be an issue. Look forward to getting them. I'm Matt Lighty, and this is the basis of my Flicker Strike League starter. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. Bye-bye.